Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 72. We started with this verse. I'll just read the translation quickly. Therefore, through devotion, detachment, and advancement in spiritual knowledge acquired through concentrated devotional service, one should contemplate that Supersoul as present in this very body, although simultaneously apart from it. So we have been reading the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We can see that by doing bhakti, automatically we get vairag, detachment, and gyan, spiritual knowledge, by devotional service. So just by doing devotional service, we can get detachment from this world, vairagya, and gyan. And we will, what is that spiritual knowledge? Knowledge of who we are, who's God, and our relationship with Him. So the perfection, we can get the perfection of life. So we continue reading. When one is detached from the attraction of material prosperity, one can actually concentrate his mind upon the Supersoul. As long as the mind is distracted toward the material, there is no possibility of concentrating one's mind and intelligence upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead or His partial representation, Supersoul. In other words, one cannot concentrate one's mind and energy upon the Supreme unless one is detached from the material world. Following detachment from the material world, one can actually attain transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth. As long as one is entangled in sense enjoyment or material enjoyment, it is not possible to understand the absolute truth. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18:54. One who is freed from material contamination is joyful and can enter into devotional service, and by devotional service, he can be liberated. So what to do? What about us then? We are so attached to our material life. We have so many material desires. But here is being said that only when we get detached from material prosperity, then only we will be able to concentrate our mind and energy on the Lord. And it's only then we can understand the absolute truth. So what to do in our position? What can we do? We have material desires, and but it's said that we cannot concentrate on the Lord. We need to continue hearing and chanting, because Krishna sees the sincere desire in our heart. And then Krishna reciprocates with that desire, and He reveals Himself accordingly. He will make the arrangement. He just sees the sincerity that, okay, so this soul has a sincere desire to come back home, but is still very entangled. But Krishna will make the arrangement. What we have to do, we have to continue our duty, hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping. And we will come to this position, Brahmabhuta platform, and go back home, back to Godhead. We should just have that. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna. I do my part and Krishna will do his part. So then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, it is stated that one becomes joyful by discharging devotional service. So devotional service is not that Krishna is sitting on a throne and then he's whipping us around and we are all feeling so, our heart is so burning with envy and our heart is so angry and we are physically being abused. No, it is joyful. It is the natural state of every living entity. We naturally, that's our dharma, Sanatan Dharma, to engage in devotional service. And when we are situated in our natural position, automatically the heart becomes joyful. Now, right now, whatever is troublesome to the heart, if we try to analyze, what things are there troublesome to the heart? If we actually analyze them, we will begin to see a bit that it is mostly envy, lust, anger, pride, arrogance, fear. All these things that is what is troublesome to the heart. And the more we engage in hearing and chanting, all the things that are troublesome to the heart will gradually go away. And devotional service will be established as an irrevocable fact. That's what we are reading every day. We are saying the prayer that Namaskritya, the second verse before we chant the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narayanam, Namaskritya, Naram Cheva, Narotam. No, the other one. Which is that? Oh, we read it every day. I can't remember it now. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Yeah, thank you. That's right. Thank you. Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhakti Naishtiki. By continuously hearing Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is gradually gone, and devotional service to the Lord is established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Irrevocable fact. Once we reach that position, never we are coming back to the material platform again. So we just continue with patience, with sincerity, with determination and enthusiasm. So in that joyful attitude, one can understand the science of God or Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it is not possible. The analytical study of the elements of material nature and the concentration of the mind upon the supersoul are the sum and substance of the Sankhya philosophical system. The perfection of the Sankhya culminates in devotional service unto the absolute truth. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd Canto, 26th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. So Sankhya, we are seeing how Lord Kapila Dev, he's giving us this analysis of what actually this material nature is. How we can begin to understand that, oh, all this is material, it's not me, and all this is just unconscious matter, and how it's been created from one to another. And all that we see around us is different combination and permutation of these elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether, the different senses, and how we can concentrate the mind on the super soul. So Sankhya Yoga is devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says that in the Bhagavad Gita, one who says that Sankhya Yoga and devotional service are different, he does not understand things. So Sankhya Yoga perfection culminates in devotional service unto the absolute truth. Because when one actually understands, oh, I'm not God, oh, I'm the soul, and then there is a super soul, oh, it's my duty to engage in devotional service unto the super soul. And that is devotional service. Yeah. So, any comments or questions on it? No. So because we finished in this chapter, we saw how from Mahatattva, from the beginning, Mahatattva, which is the most subtle, came the false ego, then came the mind, the intelligence, the senses, the sense objects, came the material, the 5 gross elements, earth, water, air, fire, ether. And then we saw how the universal egg is there, and how these elements, the layers are 10 times bigger than the previous layer, how the universe is packed with these layers of these elements, and how this universe was described as a golden egg, and how the Supreme Lord, the universal form, is being gradually formed inside this universal egg. Garbhodakshay Vishnu enters this universal egg, and how the universal form of the Lord was being created with the different planets and the the veins, the rivers, the oceans, this abdomen, different parts, different organs, and how there are different deities controlling the different parts. So everything is there in the universal form of the Lord, and that's the reason we have all these organs and all these senses. Yes, and then this last verse we read was that through devotion, through bhakti, we can get detachment and knowledge and fix our mind on the Supreme Lord, on the Absolute Truth. So I just wanted to do a short recap of what we read. Then we can start 27, understanding material nature. 27 is understanding material nature. Text 1. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Prakriti Stohi Purusho Najyate Prakriter Gunahe Avikarat Akartratvan Nirgunatvaj Jalar Kavat.
Just one question. Is the Virat Purush now awakened? He's got up?
Yeah, he got up. Remember, we read that the consciousness entered and he got up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he got up and the consciousness entered. Yeah.
Consciousness, also then, the chit, super soul.
The chit, yes, that's right. The consciousness entered him. And that was, then again, the point was raised that we can understand life comes from life. Life does not come from matter. Matter cannot give rise to life. Yeah, yes, because he's a personality, he's a person, the super soul, the universal form. He's a person, because Prabhupada says that when Arjuna sees the universal form, so he sees that the universal form is having helmets, he's having clothes. So how can you wear clothes to the sky? Prabhupada gave that example. You cannot wear clothes to a sky, right? But you can wear clothes to the form. So the super soul, the Virat Purush, he's a person and he has a form. And basically, I guess, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he's there in the universe, right? So when he is kind of entering into it, then the Virat Purusha is becoming awakened. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. The personality of Godhead, Kapila continued, when the living entity is thus unaffected by the modes of material nature, because he is unchanging and does not claim proprietorship, he remains apart from the reactions of the modes, although abiding in a material body, just as the sun remains aloof from its reflection on water. So this is a person who is liberated. He's inside a material body, but he's a liberated soul, a Jivan Mukta. In the previous chapter, Lord Kapiladev has concluded that simply by beginning the discharge of devotional service, one can attain detachment and transcendental knowledge for understanding the science of God. Here, the same principle is confirmed. A person who is detached from the modes of material nature remains just like the sun reflected on water. When the sun is reflected on water, the movement of the water or the coolness or unsteadiness of the water cannot affect the sun. Similarly, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha, Bhagavatam 1-7, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 7, when one engages fully in the activities of devotional service, bhakti yoga, he becomes just like the sun reflected on water. Although a devotee appears to be in the material world, actually, he is in the transcendental world. As the reflection of the sun appears to be on the water, but is many millions of miles away from the water, so one engaged in the bhakti yoga process is nirguna, or unaffected by the qualities of material nature. So then I might think, oh, well, I'm engaging in devotional service, so I'm already liberated. I'm beyond the modes. But this is for a pure devotee who's already revived his Krishna consciousness. So this pure devotee, although he's here walking on the earth, his consciousness is not with the body. He's not in the body consciousness. He's completely understood that he's a part and parcel of God, and that he has an eternal loving relationship with God. So then, in spite of him being in the body, he does not identify himself with the body. So Prabhupada is giving a nice analogy for us that the sun is millions of miles away. But when we look in the water, the reflection of the sun, we can see it. And the reflection quivers. The reflection of the sun is quivering. Why? Because that's the movement of the water. But the real sun is not quivering. It's just the reflection that is quivering. So similarly, this pure devotee, his consciousness is with Krishna. His consciousness is Krishna consciousness. And so he's not disturbed by the modes of material nature. No more the modes have any effect on him. This also is, this also appears in Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2. How gradually, by continuing to hear Bhagavatam, by continuing to engage in, by serving a pure devotee, rendering service to the Bhagavata. Bhagavata is a person who lives according to the Bhagavatam, who's a living Bhagavatam. Gradually, then all the passion and ignorance is removed from the heart, and then the devotee is established in goodness, goodness, and then he is established in pure goodness, like no more material goodness. Then he's blissful in engaging in devotional service, and at that moment he can understand the Supreme Lord. He can understand the Supreme Lord. So this is liberation. So the devotee...
so it is nirguna. So it's nirguna, right? That is called nirguna.
That's right. Yes. Nirguna means not being affected by qualities of material nature. So what many people misunderstand, nirguna means, means you have no qualities, so you become formless.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we have to be careful of who we are hearing from. Because many people misinterpret. Nirguna means no qualities, means no form, means no more a person, means you don't exist anymore. That's not what it is. Yeah. Okay. So read. And so what is the devotee's aspiration? The devotee's aspiration is not only liberation. He knows liberation is gonna come. No matter what, it will come. But the devotee's aspiration is that he's going to serve the Lord, because that is the original position of every living entity. He wants to be situated in his original position of love of God, love of Krishna, having an eternal relationship with Krishna. And we have been hearing that that begins from a liberated platform. Real life begins from the liberated platform. So a devotee, his aspiration is not liberation, but devotional service, love of God, love of Krishna. Yeah, and that is the perfection. And we can see that the process of bhakti, it takes us from Shraddha to Prema. Gradually, the whole process is Srila Rupa Goswami gives us in Nectar of Devotion, how gradually one progresses from Shraddha to Prema. So avikar means without change. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that each and every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. and thus his eternal position is to cooperate or to dovetail his energy with the Supreme Lord. That is his unchanging position. As soon as he employs his energy and activities for sense gratification, this change of position is called vikar. Similarly, even in this material body, when he practices devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, he comes to the position which is without change, because that is his natural duty. So this material life, this material world is an unnatural atmosphere for us. It is unnatural. And that's the reason there is so much suffering, there is so much struggle for existence. It's like taking the fish out of water and the fish struggles. So we are in an unnatural position. And what is that unnatural position? We are trying to imitate God. We are trying to imitate God, that I want to serve my own senses. I want to enjoy independent of God. And this position is called vikar. So this is the diseased condition. Now, similarly, when under the direction of a spiritual master, we begin engaging in devotional service, practices devotional service, what happens? We come to our natural position, natural duty, sanatan dharma. And that's the natural position. So then it never changes. You know, here in this body, we are changing. We are in one body, then a next body, the next body, it keeps changing. It's like we see an actor in one movie, he's playing as a villain, another he's an old man, another is, whatever, different changes. But who is he really? That's what we have to find out. Who are we really? And we can find that out by engaging in devotional service, which begins by hearing and chanting. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, liberation means reinstatement in one's original position. The original position is one of rendering service to the Lord, bhakti yogena, bhaktya, when one becomes detached from material attraction and engages fully in devotional service, that is changelessness. Akartratvat means not doing anything for sense gratification. When one does something at his own risk, there is a sense of proprietorship and therefore a reaction. But when one does everything for Krishna, there is no proprietorship over the activities. So when we say, I don't want to do anything for myself, I'm doing only to please Krishna, automatically we remove that attachment that, I'm to that result. Then automatically there is no reaction. By changelessness and by not claiming the proprietorship of activities, one can immediately situate himself in the transcendental position, in which one is not touched by the modes of material nature, just as the reflection of the sun is unaffected by the water. So we can see that how by engaging in devotional service, we can come back to our original position. We can engage in our natural duty.
So that is liberated, right? Platform. That's where you are starting. Oh.
Yes.
That you know that you're not this body, you are a soul, and your duty is to engage in devotional service.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
so
right.
that is
that is beyond, So this is
a starting.
This is real liberation. This is real liberation. So what many people think liberation is just to understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But this is real liberation when we understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul, and I have this natural duty to the Supreme Lord. This is real liberation. And that's the reason Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that pure devotional service begins from the liberated platform. This is the beginning of real life.
And so pure devotional service is prema bhakti, is it?
It is Well, not necessarily. It could be still sadhana bhakti, because even by doing sadhana, we can come to the point of pure devotional service. Prema bhakti means devotional service in love. So, when we come to this point of pure devotional service by doing sadhana bhakti, gradually, it brings us to bhava bhakti, and then it brings to prema bhakti. So, but one may not be still in bhava bhakti, but will still be in a liberated position and be a pure devotee by doing sadhana bhakti.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. So it starts with sadhana bhakti.
For us, yeah, at our platform, following the rules and regulations, practicing. And it will bring us to this point of liberation. And we continue there from there, hearing and chanting, continue the process of devotional service. Then gradually, taste, ashakti, ruchi, ashakti, then bhava. So that's bhava bhakti. And then finally prema bhakti. Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll stop here for today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.